Have you ever wondered why some high achievers stay stuck in motion while others actually move the needle? Today's guest, Lisa Goldenthal, is a top 15 executive coach, best-selling author, and creator of the Boss Method. She helps leaders crush burnout, master disruption, and build legacies with clarity and confidence. Y'all, if you are ready to lead with purpose, not just push harder, you are in for a powerful conversation. Let's do this. Welcome.
Oh my gosh, I'm so thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm so glad to have you here. And I would love for you to tell a little bit about your story and how you just got to be passionate about helping high performers.
Oh, thanks. That's a great question. My story is I do have sometimes ADD and how it's hard for me to focus. I had to create a plan just for myself so that I can focus and not be all shiny object syndrome, chasing stuff all over the place. So my journey started pretty much with health and wellness. I'm a big health and wellness expert. Along the journey, I have noticed that a lot of times high performers need help with a lot more than just their health. It's such a multifaceted approach, high performance executive coaching, because it's like, yeah, all high performers, the top 5% are fit, but there's so much more to it than that.
I love that. One thing that I've noticed is working with people that start in health and fitness, you learn so many behavior change tools to help people develop the discipline and the motivation around keeping up with your health, that then to be able to extend those principles of behavior change to other areas of your life is so helpful.
Yeah, I've worked with a client before who was like working on health and fitness with me, but yelling at the dogs and the family. And then you realized, well, you can be a high performer in some areas, but in other areas, that's where the emotional intelligence piece of my boss method comes in. So we can talk about that later. But for me, developing everything that I've done came from just like huge personal development myself. Like I'm one of those people who, you know, if you try something and it doesn't work out, and that happens repeatedly, the common denominator was really pretty much me. So then I had to figure systems out so that I could be successful and help others to do the same.
I love that so much. So I know that one of the things that you talk about is the importance of discipline that, so now we're not always motivated to
Oh,
do
yeah.
the things that we need to do. And I'm a fairly disciplined person. Someone who is lucky that consistency is something that I do well, but I know that that can be incredibly hard for some people. I love like Angela Duckworth's book on grit, and I think a lot about, well, how do we grit? How do we grit gently? Because I want to be disciplined, but I don't want to be so disciplined that I lose sight of my wellness in the
Oh,
pursuit of my
yeah.
discipline. So, how do you balance that? Can you share a little bit around that?
Oh, sure. First of all, I think we both know there's not always a such thing as this like elusive work-life balance. It's more like a harmony. Like sometimes your work is your life and sometimes your life is your life. At least that's the way I look at it as more of an integration. So high achievers aren't lazy. Let's just call that out. They're misaligned. So I can give you a plan in 90 days to turn busy into done because today we're going to focus on making your goals non-negotiable.
I love that. How do you help people? Because I do think that that's a huge thing, right? Like we'll set a goal, and especially with women, we're taking care of everybody else. And then it's like, oh, well, we'll work on our goal if we get to it.
Yeah, well, basically, my planner that I have, the Boss Up and Execute planner, can turn wishes into reps because you don't just dream about what you want. You pick one flagship goal, break it into smaller, doable moves, lock in those moves every day. You track your numbers. You and I both agree on so many things, Danielle, like your sleep, your steps, your single biggest move, I would say, are your top 3 for the day: your sleep, your steps, your single biggest move. So there's no guesswork, no gray area. Either you took action or you didn't. That kind of clarity builds unstoppable momentum. If it is not in your calendar, it is not a real goal.
Oh, I love that so much. I'm like, for those of you that are listening, I'm bouncing. I'm bouncing because I agree. One, you know that I love a good planner. And what I love about it is that it can take our goals and we start putting them into action in our daily lives. So tell me a little bit about your boss method and how that aligns with your planner.
Well, thanks, Danielle, for that question. I love that question because the 4 pillars of the boss method are important. And here's why, because willpower leaks. It's not reliable. So, boss method is simple: boost your EQ, which we can dive into if you want, maximize your energy, manage your mindset, and master self leadership. So, when you lock those 4 in, which I know is a mouthful, we can unpack them one by one if you want. Your execution becomes inevitable that way, and you don't just lead others, you lead yourself first, and that's what separates the overwhelmed from the unstoppable. Your energy is the engine, EQ is the steering, boundaries, which I know you love, protect your best energy, and the operating system set your mornings on autopilot so you don't waste time deciding what to do. Structure makes success the default instead of something you have to fight for. And strategies make sure every week is climbing forward instead of spinning in circles.
Oh, I love that. So tell me a little bit more about EQ, because I don't know that I realized when I started doing this work how important my own emotional intelligence was and getting honest with myself about my emotional responses to things and how that was gonna be such a huge part of it all. So tell me a little bit more.
Oh, thanks for that question because that was my biggest piece of development that I had to work on, in those scenarios I was talking about where I was a common denominator, like relationships not working out, business is not working out, business relationships not working out, or even in the example that I shared of my client yelling at the dog and the family. And I've seen that so many times and I've experienced it so many times. Like those yellers are the reason that this work becomes important. My dad was that way, and because of that, I seem to have attracted people like that right and left into my life. So, a really good start with EQ is mastering communication styles because sometimes, like if you're really angry and someone throws a brick at you, so to speak, like they say something that triggers you, the most important part of any conversation is to take a breath and then owning that your triggers are making this seem like it's on fire. But what I have found is when dealing with those type of people, because I still have to dance around dealing with people like that all the time, it's like when you don't react, then you can respond with ability, which is like your responsibility communication style. It's more like you take a breath, then you can do some duplications, you can repeat back what was said. So if I'm hearing you correctly, the whole world is coming to an end right now. Is that correct? Is there anything else?
Mhm.
So that is buying you time. Just mastering these communication skills of listening, repeating back what was said, asking for clarity rather than just listening to respond.
Oh, yeah. Being able to calm yourself, create that space to actually think and to respond instead of react is so wildly important. I remember I was in this really highly contentious meeting pretty early in my career, and one of my colleagues said, I'm going to walk out for just a moment. And I thought it was so courageous of her because she knew what she needed. She knew that things were getting heated and that she needed to be able to collect herself before she could respond in a way that she wanted to. And I was like, wow, like that took a lot to just stand up in front of everybody and to really do what she needed to in that moment. And, yes, so just taking that deep breath. So, what was the next pillar?
Oh, well, we talked about managing your mindset, but O would be optimizing your energy because everything is energy. So it's all about intention. I'd say, like, you're going to a meeting, you have to set your intention first and manage your energy. Like, I love the story you told about a woman who left the room because you need to have tools in your toolbox about how you're gonna deal with difficult people because they are not going anywhere. I live in a world of type A's and fast-paced world and dealing with high-level execs and relationships. So, with people like that. So, basically, I would say optimizing your energy would be the O. and managing your mindset is huge, and then the self-leadership piece. So we can just dissect any of those other pieces if you want.
I love that. How do you see self-leadership being connected actually to optimizing your energy?
That's such a great question too, because one of the cornerstones of emotional intelligence is really to be self-led. If you need to know if I'm going to be around these people, they're going to set me off. And if I get set off, that is on me. So how am I going to have tools? What am I going to do to be self-led?
Yeah.
And because of that, I think optimize your emotional intelligence is so important by knowing your triggers,
Mm.
knowing what's gonna happen. If A happens, this person's gonna be in the meeting. I'm gonna be intentional. I'm gonna be going in there. I'm gonna breathe. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna run out and, "Oh, I have to go grab a coffee. I'll be right back." Just have your tools and then you're self-led. Like, when you lead yourself first, then you can have followers. If you walk out the door and you're a leader, no one's following you, then you're just that person who's toxic that everyone can't stand to be around, that nobody wants to be in that meeting where they're gonna be, like, pontificating the whole time. So self-leadership is key.
Oh, I love that. If you can't lead yourself, you're not going to have followers. I was teaching a course at the university called Performance and Social Change, and I had this moment in teaching my students that they were advocating for some of these really big changes. And yet I realized that they were struggling with some really small changes in their own lives. And so I realized that a component of that class needed to be to really tie the self and the social and to have them recognize, like, hey, if you're asking a huge group to make these massive changes, but you can't get yourself to go to the gym, but you can't get yourself to make your bed in the morning, like, what's going on there? And how do we make sure that as we think about social change, that we also think about self change and that to see the self and the social is intimately and intricately connected. So I love what you're doing with self leadership. So I was wondering if you could share a little bit about how you connect some of these bigger principles that you teach through your boss method to the nitty gritty daily stuff in the planner.
Oh, I love that because, like, 90 days from now, you can either be planned to what you built or make excuses because there's no other middle ground. It's like excuses or results, and making excuses for what you didn't is not going to serve your goals. So the biggest trap I'd say I see a lot, is overcommitting
Mm.
out enough recovery. So let's just build it into three simple blocks: focus, creation, and recovery.
Oh,
So for me, I could tell you my morning routine is usually, ideally, not obviously always the same, that I listen to a meditation that I've been listening to since the pandemic that really helps me focus on what are my goals, what do I want to accomplish, and being grateful for what I do have, and then focusing on my goals as if they're already there. So basically, AI is a tool that I'm obsessed about. So what really good tool in my planner is, there's some hacks and prompts in there that you can download
that's so
in the
cool.
Boss Up and Executed Planner. So basically, what you can do with that is, let's say if you're proficient at ChatGPT, it's kind of fun. You could go into there and you could say, well, what is the vision? What is your vision? What is your goal? You obviously plan, goal, plan. You got to start with the vision. So basically, you start with your plan and then ask ChatGPT, what is one day in the life of my life going to be like once I've accomplished this plan? So during my meditation, I'm always focusing on what is it like as if it's already done, and so ask it that, and then it can give you a day in the life, and then you can just say, "Chat GPT, you're my high level executive coach. How do I put this into daily, monthly, weekly steps so that in the end of this 90-day little sprint, I'm actually doing the things that I wanted for the reasons that I said I want them?" And there's no excuse when you have a system. So I would say start with really taking some time for yourself. Like, whenever I travel, I love to be more of a visionary and really imagine the life that I want to live. So I'll take that life, put it into my brain, focus on it as if I already have it. So once you really know that you've dug deep enough to know what your real goals are, what do you want? Why do you want it? Why now? No excuses. Then you can put it into ChatGPT and ask it to give you a daily, weekly, and monthly plan. So all of that is in the Boss Up and Execute Planner. And that's what lights me on fire is just the fact that you can take the action now. I don't know when you guys are even listening to this, but you can decide, a lot of people plan in January, a lot of people plan in December or November. There's no perfect time. Those people that just plan their goals once in January, we all know the success rate is probably 10% at best. So plan whenever you're ready to really dig deep. Like, what do I want? Why do I want it? Why now? What do I want my life to feel like? And really get into that feeling state of your life once you've accomplished that goal.
Oh my gosh, that's so brilliant. I love the way that you're using ChatGPT with the planner because a lot of my listeners are neurodivergent and different brains sometimes have a really hard time breaking down tasks, or some brains really struggle with creating a vision where there's all these nitty gritty details. And so to have these other tools that can work alongside you, that if you are like, okay, I have this idea, but I have no idea where to begin or how would I break that down into a 90-day plan, use ChatGPT.
Exactly.
It's so amazing because then you can see it and you go, oh, I think I could do that. Oh, this is possible.
Yeah, you can do anything you set your mind to do when you don't make excuses. Because, like I said, you have your excuses or your results. And then if you take the planner and you take your executive coach, could be me, could be ChatGPT, whoever's going to help you hold your feet to the fire, because accountability is one of the cornerstones of coaching. So, whatever it takes, don't make any excuses. We all have our special snowflake excuse of why everyone else can do this except me. And I say that with love. It's just, it can be you.
I love that. You have me bouncing, you have me lit up. And if people wanted to connect with you, how can they do that?
Well, thank you. I am all about LinkedIn these days. So Lisa Goldenthal on LinkedIn. The planner is on Amazon, Boss Up and Execute.
I love that. Boss up and execute. And no excuses here. We're doing this. We got our tools. We know how to connect with Lisa so that we have that support. I love this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.